Hi guys, so in today's video I'm going to show you how to make this really super cute quilt. Really easy. I used 10-inch squares that I had left over from another quilt, and I used some jelly roll strips. If this is something you want to do, let's get started. Okay, so to make today's block, you're going to need 10-inch squares. I'm using these from a layer cake. 2.5-inch strips. I'm using a jelly roll strip that I cut at 16 inches long. My ruler, my rotary cutter, and my cutting mat. So let's get started. Okay, so I'm making my quilt scrappy. So I'm going to take my 10-inch layer cake squares and I'm going to cut them in half diagonally. Okay, so we're going to cut them like this. And then we're going to mix them up. So we're going to sew them together with another print. Okay? So I've done that already. So here is my layer cake cut diagonally in two piles. And they're mixed up so that this and this will be different prints. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take our 16-inch 2.5-inch strip and sew it down the middle like that. So that's how our block's going to look. We're going to sew it like that. And then after we sew it together, we're going to trim our block up to 10.5 inches. Okay? So let me start sewing these triangles together. Okay? So we want two different fabrics here. All right? So let me start sewing them. Okay, so when we're trimming up our block to 10.5 inches, I'm going to look at this 45-degree line on my ruler, and I'm going to place it in the center of the white strip. Okay, so let's get our ruler on our block centered. So this is our 45-degree line. We have it centered and pointed on that white strip. So now we can trim our block up. Okay, so our block has been trimmed to 10.5 inches. That's how it looks. Okay, so I have all of my blocks trimmed up to 10.5 inches. I had to add some solid blocks to the corners, 3 solid blocks to each corner. You'll see that when I sew the quilt together. I have the pieces kind of bent back and pinned to my design board. Okay, so this is the design I'm going to sew my quilt together. So I'm going to start with the first row and sew that row and the second row and third row and put it back up on the design board and show you how it looks. Okay, so this is just all of the blocks laid out and ready to be sewn together. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a 4 or 5 inch border to go around the quilt now, okay? So I think I'm going to use the black and white plaid because I think that would look super cute and I have a lot of that fabric. So let me go ahead and cut those strips now and sew them on to the quilt. Okay guys, so I have the quilt finished. It came out really super cute. You're gonna love this quilt. It's so easy to make. It's super scrappy, which I love. So what I did is I had some 10-inch squares left over from another quilt that I did. The video before this one, Hugs and Kisses from Grandma. Well, what I did is I cut those squares that I had left over diagonally. And then I took 2.5-inch wide jelly roll strips and I sewed them in between the triangles. And then I trimmed those blocks down to 10.5 inches. Now you can rearrange this and make all kinds of really cool designs, which is kind of like a lattice look. If you do that one, you don't need any extra blocks. The reason I had to cut some extra blocks on this design is I have some solid blocks in the corner. You can see up there in the corners where I have solid blocks without the jelly roll strips. So I needed to cut those at 10.5 inches so that they would fit in with the quilt. So I just went in my stash and I got some fabrics with some similar colors and patterns and theme, of course, Christmas. And I just cut me some extra squares at 10.5 inches and I just used them in the corners. And the ones you see with the white sashing, those are the 10-inch squares I had left over from the last quilt that I just cut diagonally and sewed in the jelly roll strips. Okay, so once I sewed all 36 blocks together, I added a 2.5-inch strip, a jelly roll strip of white all the way around, and then I added a 5-inch plaid border. Well, thank you for watching the video. Please like and subscribe and comment. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Like and subscribe to Grandma's channel. Like and subscribe to Grandma's channel.